Okay, guys, welcome to the Building Culture Community Meetup number 2. So, thank you everyone for joining this meetup, and I can see that we are already a lot more than we were last time, so that's a good sign. That's a sign that we are heading in the right direction. So, what is it that we are doing here? So, the Building Culture Community Meetup number 2. In the first meetup that we had last week, it was more of an introductory session where we talked about what we would be doing in this meetup, which we will be holding regularly, weekly, every week, every Saturday. So, I'll not go into a lot of detail of what we are doing, but I'll quickly also explain what the agenda for today is and kind of give you a brief introduction of what we do here. So, ideally, we should have started the introductory presentation, which I'm doing right now. So, after the introductory presentation is finished, I'll hand over. I'll hand over the slider to Apurv, who will be presenting the project for today. And the project for today is precision landing using drones, which will be explained after my introductory presentation. And after the project presentation is done, it will be followed by a Q&A session where everyone is free to ask any questions, any doubts, or if you are looking for more resources or any other details or questions you have specific to the topic. And after that, we have another section which is called Project Accountability Share, which I think today nobody has, but ideally, how it works is that a lot of people would be doing their own projects on the server and sharing it in the project section. And this part is meant to be just a section where people can share their progress of the projects, and the goal is just to provide accountability. So you share your progress every week, and you can also seek out help from other members accordingly. And after that, I'll make some quick announcements regarding the changes that I've made on the server and what we are doing here. And after that, this is more voluntary, so you can introduce yourselves, each one of you, and you can have casual networking sessions where you can join independent rooms and connect with people you want to know, or just have casual networking. So, what is the Building Culture Community? It basically targets 4 specific areas: robotics, artificial intelligence, edtech, and entrepreneurship. So, robotics and artificial intelligence is the main thing, but it is kind of supported by edtech and entrepreneurship, since we are also experimenting with new ways of learning robotics and artificial intelligence. And entrepreneurship, because we are exploring different ideas and also building a community and reaching out to more people. So we are an active learning group of robotics and AI enthusiasts. The active part is really important here because this is a volunteer driven community, which means that the more people participate, the more we can learn from each other. So without a lot of participation, we would not be able to learn very effectively. So our primary ways of learning are: we conduct a weekly meetup like this, and we conduct monthly research paper discussions and a project accountability, which is also part of weekly meetup, but we also separately do it on the server. So I'll not go into details of these 3 parts. I think these are explained in detail in the last meetup. So you can refer to the Meetup MOM channel, which has the entire video recorded from the last session plus the PPT as PDF. So if you are interested in knowing more about how we function, I think that would give a clear idea. Or if it's still unclear, you can message me. You can DM me or write on the group in the general help section. And another thing to point out is that everything will be free and accessible to every member, and the entire meeting will be recorded. Specific portions of the meeting, of the recordings, can be edited out or cut if a person is not comfortable sharing it online. So you can easily approach me after the meeting and let me know that you don't want this portion to be shared, and I'll edit it out. And so, as I mentioned, we are a volunteer driven community, and so a project presenter like today, we have Apurv. he volunteered for this presentation. So likewise, anybody can volunteer for any week on any of the topics related to robotics or even artificial intelligence, machine learning, computer vision, and other stuff. And a research paper presenter, which will be once a month. This will also be volunteer based. So this month I have volunteered, so I'll be presenting a research paper. But for the next month, you can already write it in volunteer research paper section in events. So everyone can participate regardless of experience or age group. And if you have any queries, you can approach any member of this group, or DM me personally if you want to know more about any of the sections. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So over to you, Apurv.
Thanks. Thanks, Sandeep, for sharing this, and thank you for. I will just let you know, let everyone know that the project that I'm going to share is basically a development project, and I'm working on it from quite a while. It's a part of a major project. I will quickly share my screen. Okay. My screen is visible. Can anyone confirm?
Uh, no, actually.
No.
Yeah, it is now.
Cool. So cool. I hope it is visible now. Cool. So yeah, before I proceed, the project is kind of written in ROS, and it's basically a ROS application. So let's start something simulation, some sort of simulation, so that I can explain well. Okay. Cool. So yep, this is the working place, or you can call it like the place where we are experimenting different algorithms, or suggesting out different things which could be possibly done. And uh, basically, the idea over here is that we have a drone with us. This is an Iris quadcopter, which is basically a gazebo model, which is kind of available in an open source environment. We need to integrate it in gazebo simulations. Over here, you can see a camera which is integrated to it, which is again a plugin in basically in ROS. So I've made this small prototype of a drone with a camera. So it's basically simple to integrate things in Gazebo. And the simulation world comprises of this as a robot. The land that you see is basically a graph that I have used, a graphic that I have used, and over here you can see a tag. So this tag is actually an April tag. So what is an April tag? April tag is basically a library in ROS which kind of tells us transformations. Transformations in robotics is a very important part, and it is helping many people to write algorithms efficiently. When it comes to transformations, transformations can be defined as something, a linear property and a rotational property of any body with dependent to time. So when we know the XYZ coordinates of a particularly of drone or of any robot, or and the roll pitch here, or you can see the quaternion with respect to time, we call it transformations. So transformation varies from one particular frame to another particular frame. To explain it more briefly, I will just put a small ROS setup over here. So yep, this is what you see over here. So over here you can see there are two transformations which are heading one above the other. So this is something which we called transformations. So this red, blue, and green represents the XYZ coordinate, and it tells us in which direction our drone is facing and how it has to move and up. So the simulation comprises of this FPV quadcopter. The idea over here is that we would like to give a mission to this quadcopter, which is quite easy. We can just integrate the flight stack into the drone and then just give a mission to the quadcopter to go from one place to another. So I will just show some basic missions which we can go give through this particular quadcopter. So I'll just try some takeoffs. So to be like good to go with it. Uh, let us take off Q. Yep. So let's take off. Uh, so when we look internally, what's happening over here is this is a Q ground controller, which is basically giving commands to particular ROS topics, which ROS topics are being followed by this drone. So this drone is something you can call it like the PH4 flight stack as a command oriented flight stack where we define commands for everything. So if you go over here, you can see over here which states like hold flight mode over here. So this hold flight mode is something where you can just make the drone stable at a particular position. Obviously it will loiter a lot because of Gazebo is very realistic simulation scenarios. So you can see there's a wind factor which is making these drones move. So it tries to make it more realistic. So it's not a constant hold, but it tries to hold. So these are some basic commands that you can give to drones. So the idea over here is that when we try to plan a mission, so the point from where you start a mission is the point where you will end. So what's happening over here is when it will try to land at this particular place, at the same particular place, it will try to detect the tag that you see over here. Once it detects the tag, the drone has to follow a certain set of algorithms, which I will explain later, through which it will land exactly on that particular tag. So the usability of this particular idea is, for example, today if we consider something like Zomato, Droid, my voice is clear, right? Like I just wanted to confirm since I'm talking from a quite while. Chitandeep,
Yes, yes, your voice is clear. Yes.
everything is fine, right? Like
Yeah,
I just
everything is
wanted.
fine. Yeah, you can
Perfect.
continue.
Okay. So, so the idea over here is you might have seen a couple of startups like Zomato, Dropline, people who are delivering things from one place to another and doing stuffs. So you consider it to be something like you want an online delivery system. Aerial delivery system where you want your things to come to you on a particular whenever you order something, it comes to you by drone. So idea here is that we assign a particular location, a particular zone or a tag, something like this. And very near to that tag, we will get a GPS location of it. So whenever the drone comes near that GPS location, we will enable our algorithm. So it will identify these tags and try to land on those particular sections. So the people living near the areas would come up to those places, pick their parcels, go away. So it's basically a part of a bigger software stack, but the idea is basically to give drone a proper landing spot. It is not it should not be like we just click on some random map and it goes somewhere and we don't know where it is, because it could be someone's terrace or it could be someone's head, right? So that's something which we need to avoid. So this is something like this is the intent of the particular algorithm which we have written, and I will show some the algorithm. Cool. So you see the transform moves according to it. So the ROS is basically used to check how good your algorithm is. We'll go to the simulation because ROS doesn't look so good. Cool. Let's follow this drone. Okay. So right now I just gave a mission to go to some random location. It went to the random location. Now it is coming back to its original position. So when it comes to its original position, over here we have distributed the algorithm into several sections. The algorithm is not yet working very well, but what happens when it starts landing, it will follow till particular distance, it will try to correct itself. Now what it is doing is basically it is trying to satisfy the threshold that has been set for the particular marginal difference that the drone has been set to, so that it can actually adjust itself on particularly on that particular tag. But the algorithm is not very robust right now. So you will see some adjustments made by the drones, and these adjustments are basically because of the thresholding that I have done, and it's not very exact, but as of now the correction factor is not very good. So it's trying to find the tag. So this is a false case where if the drone doesn't recognize the tag or goes too much away from the tag, we just land on that particular spot itself, because the possibility is that we have lost. So it's better to keep the drone alive. So we will just land over here. So that's one of the false cases. Best cases are also there, but they are they are quite hard to reproduce because the algorithm is not very strong. So so the idea here was that essentially when it adjusts itself, it should satisfy the boundary condition and try to land on that particular drone. So it's not very stable as of now, but I'm trying to make it more stable and I'm trying to make it more generic, so that in any adverse condition or in any basic any positions, it basically tries to adjust itself onto the transform. I will go to, okay, just select horizontally RQT graph. Okay. Yes, so this is the RQT graph. RQT graphs are basically the explanation which is given by ROS on what software stacks it has been running and what topics it has been accessing. So here you see this huge tree, which is basically a MAVROS. MAVROS is a protocol used in specifically in software systems like drones and in mobile robots, which helps us to communicate via different communication portals. So it publishes different global positions, local positions, something like this. So this precision landing node is something which we have written, which is kind of accessing some of the green boxes that you see over here. So these boxes will be giving the data of the drone at real time. So these data will be basically used, and on the basis of these data, also this over here you see this tag detection. Tag detection is something which is coming from April tag, which is basically this yellow part that you see. So so this April tag is based, the tag detection is giving me one position and Mavros is giving me the current position. So after I take the current position of the drone and after I take the tag's position, I try to adjust both of them and I publish another post, which is actually the real post, which is actually the difference that I create. So that is being published to the drone and it tries to adjust itself, and once it satisfies the boundary, it tries to land on that particular tag. So it's a old project, but it's yet on development, and it is. I'm trying to make it more generic. The future scope for this project is that precision landing is a part of a bigger software model. What my major goal or what my major aim on developing these softwares is that I'm trying to make a big bunch of software stack comprising of three major modules: precision landing, sense and avoid, and fail-safe mechanism. So when you see sense and avoid, if in between the air drone crashes to something or drone touches to something, it should actually sense it and it should avoid it. So these two things, combination of these two things will actually give us a bigger result and give a bigger prospect or a potential to this idea, where we can actually deploy these ideas in our local towns, where we can actually see things happening with the drones. So the idea is to create a whole sort of a software which could work independently and also create our own UI, because QGround is not so good. So something like this. So this is a part of a bigger project, and it's just a beginning. And I've started it almost like 6 to 8 months. So I'm developing it, and as I do my progress, I hope more people join, more people develop with me, and we could make something very good in open source, which could benefit a lot of people in coming future. So yeah, this is something from mine. Chirandeep, over to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Apuru. Thanks a lot. So I have a few questions. So, what is the type of camera that you have? You have a camera mounted on the bottom of it, right, for detection of that. Okay. So, is it a normal monocular camera or what kind of camera?
It's a normal monocular camera. It doesn't have any depth property or something. So these tags that you see are something which can be detected. Like these transformations are basically written by a ROS topic. So essentially, we don't have to worry much about them because the packet has its own encoder and decoder. So something like that.
Okay, and for the localization of the drone, you are totally reliant on the GPS as well, or do you also use the IMU sensor data or other things?
For localization, what we are actually doing over here is that since I told PX4 is a flight stack, It's basically something which is taking the IMU, taking the GPS data, and internally computing everything. So PX4 is a very generic and a very bigger software module which takes one point A and point B, and then the localization and the transportation of a whole drone depends upon it, how it basically locates. So you can decide different algorithm inside PX4, but you can consider PX4 as a wrapper to all those things. You understood, right? Like a wrapper to everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. And also the you mentioned, so this is your personal project, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So are you looking for partners to this, or do you want to do this on
Yeah,
your
yeah.
own?
Basically, this PX4 precision landing is something which is quite into development. Like I have good results, but the results are not so good when I try it with real hardware as well as in simulations. Because out of 10 times, I see 2 to 3 times where it goes smooth. The reason being is when I try moving the drone from one different locations and coming back to the GPS, it varies on how much offset it creates. So if the offset is quite large, I see toggling, and toggling is quite frequent in PID controllers. You might have observed. And when it comes to a air constrained environment where the air is a major factor, so if you have a huge wind, so how much possible drone can, like a PID is not so much efficient that it could control some external factors like wind, that too in an aerial environment. You can imagine it, right? So what happens most of the time is, for example, there's a plus one and a minus one constraint. So it tries to fit into plus one, it thresholds itself, and then it thresholds to minus one. So it toggles between them. It kind of overloops. So that's a problem which I see quite a lot. So I need to do something for it. But apart from that, I if I make a very stable environment, if I try it with a very generic, like a very genuine one, I will get very good results. But obviously, that's not the case in the real world scenarios. So I'm just looking for a better solution. Yeah, I'm looking for people who are interested in it and who are looking to develop more into robotics, because there are many things that I really want to do. Sense and avoid is another module. Maybe in another couple of days I can give another talk on sense and avoid and a better version of precision landing. I prepared precision landing today itself, because till yesterday I was working for office, right? So that's why I was not able to do much, but I tried my best basically.
Okay, no, but yeah, thanks a lot for presenting it. I think you presented quite well, and you shared all the important things related to it as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any other questions. So if anyone has any questions, you can ask Apurv. So nobody has any
Sorry,
other question, or
Yep.
hi,
Yep.
my voice audible?
Yeah, your voice is audible.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, like, are you using what kind of algorithm are you using for the position for get evaluating the difference between the desired position and the actual position?
So basically, you see this transform over here. We will get the transform from these tags, and we have our local body transform, which are created by the modeling, basically the frames. So once I get the difference between both of them, I try to basically control. Like once you calculate the difference, you give it back to the controller. Like as a feedback, you give it back to the controller. So the controller tries to optimize the difference to a certain extent, so that the like you understood like the PID controller how it
Yeah,
works,
yeah,
like
yeah, 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 yeah.
so it will
Okay,
create a
so
difference.
similar to PAD controller.
So, giving a basic example, for example, I'm at 5 and I want to go to at 0. So, I kind of subtract 0 minus 5. I will get
Yeah.
5, and this 5 will be multiplied by a proportional constant, which will be again given back to the command velocity of the drone, of the particular drone. So, once the drone tries to reach towards 0, the proportionality factor, when multiplied with the difference, tries to convert itself to a smaller value. So what happens is when it reaches exactly at 0, 0 minus 0 becomes 0, and the PID starts saturating and you get the exact position. Understood, right? Yeah.
Oh, all right, all right, all right. So, is that algorithm is working fine, or are you looking a way to improve it? Because
I'm
sometimes
looking,
there
yeah.
are a lot of, in case of PID, there's a lot of what dampening. No, yeah, damning, and there are many other issues.
Exactly.
So
As I just saw, I will just like show you this one thing that, for example, if I just give it a takeoff, you will observe that if I just give it a takeoff, it will loiter in air itself. By loiter, I mean it will not be very stable. So it will just move itself in the air because you can see over here, right? Like it will just go
yeah,
up and go down. So when I put PID, if the bracketing is very small, like for example, if it is between 0.5 to minus 0.5, I'm pretty sure it will never come between 0.5 and minus 0 because it is in here. So thoda sa bhi hawa is like it is killing this algorithm to a very proper extent, which is making me like sick sometimes. But yeah, I need to figure out some way to make it so I need
stable.
to basically what I should do is basically fuse different algorithms. I should use PID, somewhat I should use MPC. I should try those things, but yeah, it's learning, so I'm trying. Yeah, something like
Okay,
this. Yeah,
all right. Yeah,
cool.
that's it. Yeah,
Sure.
thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so if anyone is actually interested in controls and trying out model predictive control and other things, I think you could collaborate with Apurv because this is specifically more or less related to control, right? And you would be doing other things as well after that. So, does anyone have any other questions? I think Akash is saying something, or is it just background noise?
It was noise and it was a
Okay.
very
Okay, you don't have any question, or
okay, fine.
were you trying to ask
Akash,
me?
Akash, you were telling something? Hello?
Yeah, no, I got to learn few things and I'll question when I've learned enough to ask the right questions.
Cool, cool, cool. Sure. Anytime. You can ask me anything related to Ross, and I will try my best to answer them, possibly.
Yeah, and also you can also approach Apurvo on the server and ask him questions if you have later, if you have any doubts later, and if you want to uh, review the project and study it on your own before asking questions. So that should also be fine. And you have posted, Apurv, have you posted a link to this as well in one of the channels, right? In project section.
Okay. Yeah, I have posted somewhere. I will post it again for sure.
Okay. Yeah. So does anybody have any other question?
हाँ चालू है.
Okay. So all right. So now I'll quickly. Apurv, do you want to share something else as well? And after that, I'll just share something
Yeah, no,
related to this.
nothing but from my side. Just I would like to thank people from different places. I guess there are people from Germany, there are people from wherever you have joined. Thank you for listening to this. And in any case of any doubt or anyone who is interested, please you can contact me. Thanks again for listening and taking our time. Thank you very much. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sadandeep, for this.
Yeah, and thank you, Apurv, for the presentation. And by the way, we'll also have a short introduction session after this as well, so we can get to know you and from which places you have come and what your interests are and other things. So, but before that, I'll just do a quick uh, introduction of the server and a few announcements. Just a minute. So I've shared my screen right now, and you could should be able to see the Discord server on the screen.
Charandeep, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me? I think there was some internet connectivity issue again. So you can hear me now, right?
Yep.
And can you see the stream or not? I've also shared the screen. Hello,
No, the
hello.
screen share is not working now, Chan.
Yeah, it's not working.
Okay, just wait a minute. Now, is my screen
Yeah, it's
visible now?
working. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some problem with my internet connection as well. That's why this is happening. So I just want to quickly introduce the server because it can get easily very complicated. So since you guys have joined the meeting, so you know the few things that I'll be initially telling, but after that, how the other things are structured, I'll also cover that. So in the welcome section, as you join, you'll be going to the welcome section, and it says to unlock all the channels you'd have to introduce yourself in the introduction section. And in the introduction section, after introducing yourself, you also have to react with this green tick by adding reaction and selecting the green tick on this, and then after that you would get approval, and you can see all the remaining channel, because before that you can only see a few channels in the welcome category. And so since this is an active learning community, so how can you start participating, because not a lot of channels are active right now. So after you get access, you can see the assign roles section, and in the assigned role section you can select whether you are student, professor, freelancer. This is just to uh, let everyone know what your background is. And I think I'll add also a few other roles related to whether you are into research or industry and other things, but for now I think this gives a pretty good idea as to what your professional background is. And after that you just quickly head to how it works section, and I think everything would be clear in this section because it's listed down. So the way it works is that everyone can share his or her projects, whether it's completed or not, whether you just have an idea and you want to do a project, and you're looking for a partner to help with, or to have an accountability with, you can share here. So I've shared one of my projects here. This guy has also shared his project, and there's another project here. So you can write the name of the project, the topic, maybe write, share a few links, and also whether you need accountability or not. And if you need accountability, you can repost the same thing in the accountability channel, and if another person reacts to it, so for example for Ed Drop 7's project, few people have reacted, so they should potentially be communicating with each other and doing particular project together. So this way you can have an accountability, and then after that you would be sharing your project status in the meeting. So after finding a project, you do the project, check the resources section. In the resources section we have a few books, courses, depending on what you learn. So for machine learning, deep learning, AI, ROS courses and everything. Not a lot right now, but also if you find some resources that are useful, you can use this format and share it as well. And once you share your projects and progress during the meetings, once your project is completed, you can show it in the project exhibition sections. So here you can see Apur's project and some of my mini projects here as well. This is just so that the others can also review it. So yeah, that's it. And another thing that for the next week, whoever wants to present, he or she can share the name of the project and a bit and a brief description of it, and I'll assign the date to that particular project and to that particular person, and he can present it in the meetup. And it doesn't you don't have to be an expert in any field. You just, If you have a project that is ongoing or that you have done, you can share it. And also the same for research paper reading. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to share. Does anyone have any doubt? If no, then we can start with the introductions. So no doubt. So we can start with the introduction. So maybe Akash can start introducing himself very briefly, like where are you from, what interests you, and what projects you are interested in, maybe.
So I'm a final year undergraduate, instrumentation and control from Nirma University, Ahmedabad, and I live in Vadodara. I'm most probably going to pursue an internship and job in Surat, and I have interest in ROS and also control, and I have worked for Robocon competition for around 3 to 4 years, and we have made four-leg robots and three-wheel omni and four-wheel omni robots. So I have experience in embedded and simple hardcore C programming robotics. Thank you.
Okay, great. So you're mainly interested in controls.
And I want to go into ROS and path learning as well, but I don't have much experience in that side.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah. So that's good actually. So you can probably look at a few resources and maybe start learning ROS, or maybe you can also contact me and I can share you some resources if you're a beginner, how you should be learning ROS and stuff like that. Okay, great. Welcome Akash. And so next, Apurv, do you want to reintroduce yourself?
Yep, I can. I guess I think I know Akash. After his introduction, I know Akash, I guess. I know you are right, Akash? Okay, he's
Yeah,
muted.
yeah, we connected.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So, hi guys. My name is Apu. I work for Apyuta Robotics. It's a cloud robotics organization, and we deal with cloud robotics mostly. And I work on the perception side of the things, and quite interested to learn a lot about machine learning and robotics in the next coming day, like coming time. I am eager to do much projects which could potentially create an impact in the existing things, like doing some work in self-driving sections would be something which I'm quite interested into, self-driving cars or doing something related to drones. And I look forward for those opportunities and like to collaborate with people for participating in different hackathons and doing some collaborative projects. So yeah, you can definitely let me know if there is any idea. I'm ready to code anytime. So yeah, thanks. That's all from my side. This, yeah.
Great, great to have you, Apurv. And thanks for contributing on a regular basis to the server. Kitadaki, is your mic working today? Ah, yeah. You asked a question, right, today? Okay, okay, yeah. So your mic is working. So yeah, you can introduce yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, so I introduced in the earlier meetup as well. My name is Karthik Sachdev, and I'm a master student at AVTH Akin in robotic systems. And I worked in ROS by developing an exoskeleton, uh, upper body exoskeleton. Yeah, I simulated it and used a lot of tried basically my hands on this system. And apart from that, as of my coursework and my own interest, I'm working on deep learning. And yeah, and I would love to collaborate with you guys on the deep learning side. And also, if any project comes, I would also contribute in the ROS aspect. Yeah, that was all from my side. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great, Karthik. Nice to hear you finally. Okay, Lucas. Lucas, is your mic working? If somebody is having some issues with mic, you can also introduce yourself by typing in the chat room, maybe. That would also be fine. And meanwhile, I think Mayank can introduce himself. Mayank, hello. Okay, Mudit, I'm pretty sure your mic is working, so you can introduce yourself, I think. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry.
Hello.
Go for it. What it? No worries. I go at
Yeah.
last.
Okay. Hi. So I just joined today because last time I was not able to attend. So anyway, guys. So I want to introduce myself. I'm Udit Sharma. Basically, I'm Chandandeep's friend, and yeah, we are in the same course. I'm also pursuing masters in robotic systems engineering, and currently I am doing my internship at BMW, and I'm working on motion detection, and we are gonna use this for to integrate in vehicle and then to perform certain operations. So this is what I'm doing, and after that I'm planning to start my thesis very soon. So this is all about my academics, and other than that I'm also quite active in robotics and artificial intelligence. And I was already discussed this about Chandandeep that we should start something like make a community or something. And I think now we have a quite good community, and it's a very nice platform to share our knowledge. And I think maybe in few weeks I'll come up with something to share on this platform, because I really like that we have such a good community and a knowledge sharing platform.
Great, Mudit. Great to have you here finally. Okay, Lucas, you can introduce yourself. Hi. Sorry, we can't hear you again.
Want to go back to the technical part more than management part. Before that, I'm studying now currently in Germany also another master in embedded system. Pretty interesting. I already finished the first semester. I play a lot around with projects. Also in the work, I do some projects, but I will be interested to maybe try some new guys if it comes to robotics, controls, or C++, or even Java, or even the real-time systems if somebody interested in that. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Lucas. Sorry, I missed some of your introduction in the beginning. I think there was some connection issue, I guess, again. So you mentioned that you are in Germany. Where are you exactly?
Hanover.
Hanover. Okay, and you're doing masters in embedded systems, right?
Yeah, this is my second master. I did first automation control systems, robotics, or mechatronics actually, with robotic systems, and now I'm doing embedded system in Darmstadt. TU.
Oh, okay, nice.
Old dude. Trust me, it's not nice. Too old.
So why did you actually choose embedded systems after doing mechatronics and robotics?
Um, I wanted artificial intelligence at the first, but I saw that, yeah, let's say I'm a little bit. I try to go to the place where nobody everywhere goes. That means
So specializing in that area where I think not a lot of people are going, so you would stand out probably. Probably that motivated you.
So, which board, like you told SPF, which board you were telling?
no. This is the PLC in German SBS. I just switch it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay,
The
understand.
PLC is what I worked with is Lenz, for example, or Siemens, or
Oh,
what to call it, Beckhoff.
nice.
So you're talking morely about industrial automation and embedded system for PLC SCADA HMI.
I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
So you're mentioning PLC and SCADA like, for industrial automation. So embedded system for industrial automation.
The embedded system which I choose two specification: industrial 4 and building automation system BMS. I worked in currently I'm working industrial. Before I used to work in building automation system, so in both side. Yeah, I'm a little bit, as I said at first, weird. I go all over the place. I don't have a specification. I just to pick everything from each side, and at the end, I'm not specific in one of them.
Okay, all right. Welcome, Lucas. And so now Mayank, can you introduce yourself now? Can you hear me? I think today I'm having some internet issues, so I'm not really sure when you are able to hear me and when. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, perfect. So Mayank, maybe can introduce. I think a few people are just left, right? Mayank, Rajesh, Sido, Joe, and Shepi. I mean, any one of you can start. Whoever wants to start, you can start, and just continue after that one by one.
Hello.
Hi, Rajesh. We can hear you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm currently in Germany. I'm from India, actually. I'm doing my master's in robot automation and robotics in Dortmund, TU. I'm in my first semester. Uh, my background is mostly embedded systems. Have worked in embedded systems, RTOS, hardcore C programming, and hardware. I've done few machine learning. My interest is basically in robotics in general, and moreover, artificial intelligence in perception and cognitive systems. Yeah.
Thank you, Rajesh, for your introduction. Welcome to the community. I can see that there are quite a few people from the hardware side and embedded system and also controls, and there are also quite a few people from the deep learning and AI side. So we have quite a diverse community. So that's a good thing actually. We can learn from each other. Okay, welcome Rajesh and Shapey. I think Sido Joe is introducing himself in the chat room.
Yeah. Hello everyone. So my real name is Aditya, and I'm presently living in Baroda in Gujarat. And presently, I'm preparing for my master's in robotics. And my previous experience is I have worked on a military surveillance robot during my BTech, and after completing my BTech, I worked for a year in a startup in Bangalore, where I was mostly working on the embedded side and perception side for industrial and factory automational mobile robots. And currently, I'm working on some IoT related projects, and hopefully, if something really well works out from there, I would like to present it over here too. So it's great to be here. That's all from me.
JP, welcome again.
Exactly, where are you from, Kevu, in Vadodara?
I'm staying
Sorry
in
to
Karali.
interrupt.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. I'm from
Okay,
Karali.
I am an Atlanta. Great, I am an Atlanta and I make connects.
Mayank, by the way, you can also write your introductions in the chat room.
Who is giving the next talk, Droid?
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, sorry, did you say something?
Who is giving the next talk on Saturday?
Okay. Yeah, there's no volunteer yet for next talk. So if any one of you is interested, and you can also, it doesn't actually specifically have to be software related. If you have some previous project in even mechanical design or that is related to robotics or embedded systems or controls, you should also be free to share it. I think that would also be helpful to a lot of people here. So since at least 9 or 10 people are here, maybe you can express your interests. What are the areas that you would want to see more presentations in the meetup, and or whether you would want to volunteer for the next meetup as well. Just let's have a casual talk about like what your maybe future career plans are and in which direction you are heading. I think a lot of people from the hardware background are trying to switch to AI and machine learning, computer vision side. I mean, the same was for me as well. So I was also into mechanical design for 2 years in India, and after doing my masters here, now I've made a transition to deep learning and computer vision. So maybe yeah, let's talk about what your interests are and which direction you'd want to go.
So, yeah, I would want more of uh, uh, people coming from deep learning background, computer vision, and yeah, and working on like deploying all those things in real time projects. For example, in case of if I say like an exoskeleton, then maybe we can collaborate and like with a computer vision I can detect something, and then on the hardware side we can have a person uh, taking I mean simulating it so that it can go and fetch it, so something like that. So I would want more people from the deep learning background.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but from deep learning side, do you guys also prefer to have just deep learning and ML just for robotics applications, or any applications, whether it be maybe medical
Any,
applications or other things?
yeah, anything would be fine. Yeah. Like and even NLP or sentiment analysis, anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but would that would become a very we would become a very broad in a very broad area as a group.
I guess we
Yeah.
could probably start with ML and deep learning for focused around robotics, and then probably in future, once we have more active members, we could diversify it. Then I guess we could go that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was also thinking the same, that let's be more specific to robotics, because robotics in itself is very vast, and then uh, AI is another vast field which has correlations, which parts of which are also used in robotics. So we can expand in the AI direction, but first we can expand in the robotics area, I guess. So yeah. So Karthik, maybe you also have some previous project which are probably also not related to deep learning, but you can also share those if you want to.
Yeah, but I need to make up,
Transition.
a little presentation and everything.
Okay.
So I'll let you know in this week if I'm able to make it in the documentation and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no pressure or anything. It's voluntary depending
Yeah.
on how much time you have and everything.
Yeah, sure, sure.
I have a question for Karthik actually, if I may.
Yeah.
I have been interested in exoskeletons since my college time. So, could you just tell your experience how you got into exoskeletons and what has your been experience like up till now?
So yeah, basically, I started from exoskeleton from the perspective of like making for the elderly people basically. So since you must be knowing that at certain point they are not able to fetch things, and there are a lot of problems with their body or something like that. So in
Yes,
order to
yes.
facilitate them, I was planning to have a upper body exoskeleton, so which can help them, and with a having a camera, and the camera can detect where the position where the object is, and then it can power the motors on the exoskeleton, and it can move to the desired location. So basically my motivation was for developing it for elderly people, so it's still in the simulation phase, and I have developed it only in the ROS, not the actual hardware right now. Yeah.
You're doing it right now.
I
Just
did it. I did it previously, like 2 3 months back, but after my some coursework started, I was not able to catch up on that project. So, but if anyone is interested, and then we can carry forward it. I've done a lot of work in that area.
What
So
are you using for simulation? Unreal Engine or Gazebo?
gazebo. I used gazebo, and then I even used there's one more library for robotic arm. I just forgot it. Let me.
But exoskeleton would
But
not have a proper model. You might have created your own model.
Yeah, I created my own model on this SolidWorks, and all those reference were taken from like 90% human dimensions. Yeah.
Understood. But then how are you basically testing it? Like you create a mock human in Gazebo and then you make it a pervert, or like how?
Uh, as of now, it is just like it's 6 degree robot arm,
Okay.
and yeah, and I have fixed it on some plane, and then now testing the movements of it. So once my everything is tested, like put it on a human, and I mean in the simulation only, like using OpenSim and everything. There are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
platforms,
Yes.
and then I can check the effect of their of the on muscles and everything. Yeah.
Understood. So your 6 day of exoskeleton demonstration or the model, it is basically what I should say. It's mainly comprising of different joints or something like this. Like I
Yeah.
just want. Okay.
Yeah. So from it goes from shoulder. It has three axes for shoulder, then one for elbow, and then one for the last. Uh, yeah. So it has some, and even for the back. So I'll probably share my screen once if I'm able to, after in some meetup, I'll show you the whole demonstration. Probably
Sure.
then you can better idea.
Yep, looking forward to it because this seems to be pretty exciting. It's a good. It's basically doing something very custom in Gazebo is very difficult. That in my experience, I have observed always when we try to do something which is not in the capabilities of Gazebo, so Gazebo kind of blocks in many parts. So doing something this would have been very challenging. So yeah,
Yeah,
true.
it was really challenging in the start because I had to learn ROS and Gazebo from the scratch, and then I was, working on completely a new thing, which was not, I mean, which was done, but it was not much documented or not available on internet at
True.
that point.
Most of the underrated libraries in Gazebo plus ROS are breaking most of the times. In every month or in every 2 months, they break quite a lot because of sudden releases made in many libraries. That's a problem. I think, yeah, that's something which I observe quite frequently. Even today, when I was setting up this repository, I faced so many issues because somebody has updated the Mavros and then it was making pathetic. But yeah, true.
Oh, yeah. This is a problem, but still, it's a very good community, ROS, and whatever wherever you are stuck, you just Google and you get an answer. I
Yeah,
mean, that is the
Yeah,
part of the open source community,
true.
this ROS.
yeah.
Yeah.
ROS always has these dependency issue problems, and but yeah, that a good thing is that we have an active community that supports it as well.
True.
Even TensorFlow is a very good community, I must say, for learning deep learning and machine learning. Like most of the libraries are quite well documented, and it's very nice to
Definitely.
study.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
I work on this PyTorch, and wherever I'm stuck, I just Google and get that answer. I mean, though it's time consuming, but yes, I definitely get an answer.
True.
Same. Yeah.
Even Chanandeep, a suggestion to today's call would be like demonstrating a project on every week, something which might be not possible by everyone, or it would be not possible to get volunteers as well. So maybe in other meets, what we can do is we can also do some what I should say, something like a TensorFlow functions. Like we can like use some small scripts to do some basic CNN or use some basic CV, write some basic CV codes of circle detection or something like this, some basic things
Yeah,
which could help people to understand the functions and understand the limitations of different functions. Maybe something like this could be done.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a
yeah,
very good idea.
yeah. Actually, yeah, that's a good idea because I'm also not sure how many people would be volunteering because chairing a project is not very easy for everyone because most of the people would do projects in, for example, in association with an organization, and then it's very difficult to share. So we can maybe have, for example, machine learning basics discussion or ROS basics, anything. I think we can be open to any topics as long as we are meeting weekly and sharing something. I think, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yes. So maybe something like using PyTorch in pipeline, or using TensorFlow, or using CD to something like this could be a.
Yeah, or deployment of an ML model on a mobile phone, whether you're using PyTorch or TensorFlow, any something like that. But yeah, a lot of things can be done in that regard. Especially in the beginning, I think we can be more flexible with what we are sharing.
Yeah, because in that case there will be like open source functions and everything would be an open source thing. So yeah, it would take time for people who would be presenting to invest the time and write some small snippets of code, or copy them from internet and understand them and explain. But in that case, people listening to those functions, like in developing, what we observe the most is we don't have the what I should say knowledge about the functions at the best. So we need to go to the documentations and revise them. If we learn from here, then when we try to develop, we will be able to understand them much better. Even we don't need to see what it takes as an input. We can just learn from here and can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Or maybe initially we can also have just concepts discussion. Maybe it could be more theoretical. I mean, ideal would be projects or some practical concept. But if it's totally theoretical, I think initially we can also do that as long as we are meeting regularly. But that's, I mean, if everyone agrees that theoretical concepts are also fine, then yeah. So currently, yeah. So currently, my goal is just that we conduct weekly meetups, and it should not matter like whether you are sharing something really new and unique. We can be flexible with that. All right. So yeah, I think I need to introduce Sido Joe. So I'll just quickly read his introductions because he has some issues with his microphone. Okay, hello, my name is Ido. I am very interested in robotics, but I am a beginner. I have a NAO robot, and I did an exhibition at school based on the socialization between human and robots. That's all. Oh, and I'm from Italy. Okay, and yeah, the Sido Joe also had a few trouble regarding his project that he's doing with Now robot. So if anybody else is also using a Now robot, I think it would help him with his project as well. So this Now robot is just that small humanoid robot. Yeah, just for I think it's a social robot and for more for play for kids, I think. So if anybody else also owns, then you two can collaborate, or just interact and discuss.
I have another question for Karthik actually. Can I ask?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please.
Yeah, I wanted to know, are there any good resources out there for any beginners into exoskeletons? Like, if anyone's interested in learning how, like, the basic know-how about exoskeletons, do you have any suggestions about that?
Yeah, I do have a lot of resources, but any particular exoskeleton are you looking for, like upper body, lower body, or any general? And which area are you looking for? I mean, what is your research area and area of interest basically in exoskeleton?
I'm basically a beginner, so I'm just interested in learning about it. That's all.
Okay, then probably I'll forward you some research papers and the documents that I have. Um, probably after the meeting, if it's that okay. Just
Yeah,
just
sure.
give me a reminder.
Yeah, sure. So, aren't there
Yeah.
any courses or any such textbooks, any such kind of
Just
study material for that?
just let me just go through first.
Okay, no problem. Cool.
Yeah, exoskeleton. Mm, mm, Uh, just hold on, I'll just check
Yeah,
where
no
I
problem.
am.
It's fine. It's fine. We can check on that later, I guess.
Yeah, I'll share you after the meetup because it will take time. I have to go through all my PC and something. Yeah,
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So finally, uh, I would really appreciate if you could give your feedback on how we can improve and maybe share the kind of projects. I think that thing we have already discussed, but how we can improve. Any open ideas would be fine.
Few things were like you. I agree with that. Initially, first thing is we should have a meetup every Saturday or Sunday, and then if we have some volunteers, then he or she can present a complete or ongoing project. But we can also be free enough to put some theory or a project which is of embedded or little of course from robotics. And I would also request, like I'll also do it, and maybe someone or from the community may also put some small projects into the starting point for each and every field. Examples or task line for any for projects on various topics in the projects for people to go through and follow and use, like just starter projects.
Yeah. So projects for beginners mostly. You want mean?
Yeah, I meant it.
Okay, great. Yeah. So anyone else also want to give some feedback?
Yeah, I would add something over here. So, like, as I am quite active in this server. I have been a part of couple of more not robotics, but coding servers and different servers. So, I have seen few things that I would suggest you, because you are the admin of the server, that you can definitely do to engage more and more people. Maybe as the group is increasing, you can in Discord we have something like you can add like a super admin and then members, and then people allocate them a bit more power so that they can also manage the server for quite a while. Not quite a while, like some sort of powers to them as well, so that they can also add people, those things, and it would be helpful to you as well, because to alone manage the whole server would be a one thing. So this is first point, that you can add more peoples to the what I should say member sections, or something like a higher authority who are quite more active, so that they can also add more and more people. Second suggestion would be, since you see that most of the time I've observed in this server that not more than 30 people are kind of active in the server, or not more than 30 people are active in the workshops or in any meetups. You can form groups of people, or people in this call who are eager can also communicate inside the server to other peoples who you see who are kind of interested. Like, we can share our views with each and every person in the group by seeing the introductions, by initiating from ourselves and ask them to also come on board us. And people should start forming small set of 10 to 20 people's group, so that it starts increasing as a pattern in the server, and people start interacting and people start communicating more. So this could be an initiative taken by each one of us in this call, so it will help us to grow, something like this.
Yeah, I get it. And one small step that I've taken in this direction is that I've added a category called member events. You can each one of you can visit it in. I think I should have mentioned it in the presentation as well, but I forgot to. Anyway, so there's two sections, two channels in the member events and member event announcements. So Apurv was also saying that he wants to conduct regular uh, ROS basics classes or just meetups, sharing just small ideas of service, cross service topics and all these things. And for that, I mean, it would be really difficult for me to manage everything as well, so I've added this section so that each one of you can organize these small meetups. Maybe some of you wants to learn computer vision specifically, so you can write it uh, in the accountability section, find partners, or just write casually in the chat room. And then once you have a group of 3 or 4 people, you can write it in the uh, a member events section and member announcement section. So member announcement section would be announcing when the meetup would be, or just study groups or whatever you're doing. Yeah, so yeah, apart from that, yeah, I can probably also add invitation feature for all the members or something. I'll look into it what I can do, but yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Thank you.
So okay, so let's conclude the meeting, and also feel free to I've made these several voice channels in the lobby. One is called coffee room, one-on-one chat room, and I can add more rooms as well if you want to have individual discussions. For example, Karthik and I think Shepi, both of you were interested in exoskeleton, so you can individually communicate as well in these spaces. I know Discord is a bit new to everyone, but once or twice when you use it, you get used to it. So yeah, just write to me whenever you want to have a different channel or anything. And one more thing, so I added this coding space. Basically, this is a voice channel, and once you click on it and then you type exclamation mark P and the name of the song, once you are in the voice channel, then the song plays on it, and then you could be coding on the background. So you can also code while listening to music, or do any of your projects here as well, if that interests you. How does this sound, by the way? This was just an experiment of a coding space thing.
I tried it out actually, but yeah, it works, I guess.
It works. But would you prefer to actually be using it, or is it not that good to use?
I mean, it depends from person to person. Like some people are like, I guess I know some people who keep Discord open 24/7. So for
Yeah,
them, I
yeah.
guess it would be useful, I guess.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, for sure it depends. It depends on the person.
I don't see a problem with that. So like you could just leave it there. They can use it if they want to.
Yeah, sure, yeah, sure. It's just one more channel in the server, so yeah, okay. Okay, thanks a lot guys for joining, and yeah, let's meet in the next one. And if you come up with a project idea or a concept or anything, just write in the volunteer section, and we can discuss it in the next meetup.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Bye. Good night
Thanks,
to
bye,
everyone.
have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.